Also, he took shots at Canada here over banks, saying Canada doesn't allow American banks to do business in Canada, but their banks flood the American market. Oh, that seems fair to me, doesn't it? Which is so ridiculous. As Michael Kempa points out here, fact check: American banks have chosen to do limited business in our country because of the robust regulatory system, which makes it more difficult to engage in predatory financial services. Why, after witnessing 2008, why would Canada want a banking system that is more American? Like, Canada got through the '08 financial crisis arguably better than anybody, or at least the vast majority. Why would we want to become less protected, more American after seeing the disaster that the banking industry wrought on American families? Just wild. Now, the other thing I mentioned earlier, he is using using fentanyl to justify tariffs. As the Globe Mail points out here, White House using misleading fentanyl data to justify tariffs. So this is a recent article, but you can go back when he began using this line. Like, I don't know how I saw a Republican representative on I think it was CNN today using this point again. Oh, these tariffs are coming in because fentanyl. Canada is sending dangerous fentanyl over the border. Canada makes up just 0.2% of US border fentanyl seizures. And this was before the extra measures that Canada put in place over the past month, brought in a fentanyl czar, added border security. They brought this number down by 97%. So it's now like 0.01% or something. Like, it's just so insane to use this as anything, especially considering the level of weapons and drugs that come from the US into Canada. If you're going to use this as a measurement or as the reason to start a trade war, Canada should have started a trade war decades ago because of the amount of garbage that comes over the border from the US. But it's an insane point to use to force all these extra charges on American families. So let me start with the response from Ontario Premier Doug Ford. So this was from yesterday before the tariffs hit, but it's the same points he's making today. I'm going to reiterate that with a couple of headlines in a second. But this is, I got to say, I like this response. I did a video on Doug Ford winning. I'm not a fan of Doug Ford for obvious reasons. He's not great on healthcare, not great on many domestic issues. But when it comes to the way he is talking here, his approach to this, I am in full support.
You have two choices here, folks. We roll over as a country and just let them run over us, or we fight like hell, like we've never fought before. I'm taking option two. I'm fighting like hell, and we're going to protect Canada. He's underestimating the Canadian people, the resilience of the Canadian people, and the strength of the Canadian people. I don't start a tariff war, but we're going to win this tariff war. Right off the hop, I've directed the LCBO, we're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, to remove every bit of U.S. alcohol off the shelves. I know my good friend, the governor of Kentucky, he's losing his mind right now. I said, you better talk to your president. Mitch McConnell, senior senator from Kentucky, they're losing their mind. We purchased over $1 billion of alcohol, 3,600 products, 35 states. It's going to hit them. We would call them the kitchen table issues. Then we're going to cancel Starlinks right away from Elon Musk. Not that $100 million makes a difference for him, but it's principle. I've directed the procurement of over $30 billion of goods not to go to the U.S., to make sure we buy Ontario first. And if we can't find it in Ontario and we can't build it in Ontario, we go across the country. We have 51 tariff-free agreements with countries around the world. Every retail store, when you go look at the shelf talker, it has the price. We need to see a Canadian flag on that price. If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. So, and I'm encouraging every other province to do the same.
That last line there is fantastic. Other politicians that are better than him on the actual policies and issues should take note at how to communicate with voters. This is why Doug Ford is still popular, despite the fact that he has done a number on Ontario in regards to wages that he canceled an increase on, in regards to healthcare, in regards to lying about not giving up the green belt to his corporate buddies. Like there's a whole litany of scandals and issues that Doug Ford's been involved in that I've done many videos on. But I can acknowledge that the guy knows how to communicate with your average person. This is fantastic. A great response here. The encouragement, a lot of this was touched on, a month ago when we were first discussing the tariffs, but taking American products off the shelves, fantastic. In terms of energy, there actually is more specifics now on that. So Richard Sutherland of City News reporting, Ford tells the Wall Street Journal that Ontario will put a 25% export tax on the electricity it sends to 1.5 million homes in Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. Ford added that he will direct the province's energy producers to shut down the exports entirely if Trump moves ahead with even more tariffs on April 2nd, and canceling the Starlink deal for real this time. I think, because he said it the first time, and then a day later he reverted when the tariffs didn't happen. Now he's saying it again. I hope it's legit this time. Even if the tariffs didn't happen, this deal was insane. And I went through that in a different video, so I'm not going to break that all down now. But would have been wild to give Elon Musk $100 million when there are other options to deliver internet to these more remote parts in Ontario. But really good to see the ripping up of that deal. I want to get now to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's response.
Canadians are reasonable and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. At the moment, the U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time. I want to speak first directly to the American people. We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you. As of this morning, markets are down, and inflation is set to rise dramatically all across your country. Your government has chosen to put American jobs at risk, at the thousands of workplaces that succeed because of materials from Canada or because of consumers in Canada, or both. They've chosen to raise costs for American consumers on everyday essential items like groceries and gas, on major purchases like cars and homes, and everything in between. They've chosen to harm American national security, impeding access to the abundant critical minerals, energy, building materials, and fertilizers that we have and that the United States needs to grow and prosper. They've chosen to launch a trade war that will, first and foremost, harm American families.
So just on the speech alone, I got to say it is one of Trudeau's best speeches, and he's not prime minister for much longer, as there is a leadership race going on within the Liberal Party. A new prime minister or new leader of that party, thus new prime minister, is going to come in shortly here. But there's a lot in this speech. I put in a bit here. I'm going to get to another clip later on that touches on a bit of a different point. But on the point of the retaliatory tariffs, a lot of this was already mentioned by the government before they were brought in, so people were already aware what was going to happen. But this, how long this trade war lasts is going to depend completely on how much Trump cares about how Americans are impacted, which is probably very little. So It's really going to come down to how much of that